Hi, I'm Dr. Jackson Crawford. Today I'm going to continue my series of presenting my favorite places in Colorado and Wyoming. And today I'm in Wyoming's Wind River country, Fremont County. Specifically today I'm at the Fremont County Pioneer Museum with my old friend Randy Wise, the curator, and my former colleague from my times working at the sister museum in Riverton.
Yep.
What can you tell us about the museum?
Well, this is the Fremont County Pioneer Museum. It's dedicated to the history of the Lander Valley and the broader Wind River Valley. The museum covers everything from prehistoric times, 10,000 years ago, all the way up to not quite the present, but pretty close.
Like 1940s, 1950s?
We've gotten actually into this in the 1960s with the U.S. Steel.
Okay.
U.S. Steel iron ore mine was a big, important part of the economy of this county.
That was up at Atlantic City.
Up at Atlantic City, and you know, it was such an important, it changed Lander rather dramatically, so we've expanded our timeline to include that as part of the story of Lander.
That's
so
great.
Up to the 60s.
Tell them the complete story of this fascinating area.
Yeah, there's a lot of history here. Again, 10,000 years of Native American history. We have a really neat Native American collection. Talk about the Oregon Trail, the Mountain Men, the early pioneers coming in with the cattle drives, the railroad coming to this area. There's a lot of history. Native American history is really fascinating.
Local hero Butch Cassidy.
Butch Cassidy spent 4 years in Lander. Butch Cassidy was arrested for the first time in Lander for stealing a horse and put in the Fremont County Jail here in Lander. So he was a popular fellow. The description I love about Butch Cassidy is they considered him lively but a good man, which I think is that's an interesting description, lively.
And he's still alive, and he's all of our great-grandfathers.
That's right, exactly. Well, my grandmother, who grew up here too, talks about meeting him when he came back in the 1930s. Now, I don't want to cast aspersions on my grandmother,
No.
but I'm skeptical. But nevertheless, she's not the only one. There were a lot of people that felt Butch Cassidy made it out of Bolivia and came back to Wyoming.
I've heard plenty of stories and plenty of pseudonyms that he took afterwards.
Yeah.
So
And who knows? Maybe he did.
Maybe. So what would you say is your favorite item or favorite part of the collection here?
Wow, that's a good question. Well, I think one of my favorites is the jail register upstairs with Butch Cassidy's entry in it. The Fremont County jail registers, we have all of them dating back to the beginning of Lander. And in 1889, there's Butch Cassidy in jail for stealing a horse. He was actually arrested twice in Lander. The first time he was acquitted of stealing a horse, but then he was, about a year later, arrested again for stealing a horse. And this time he was acquitted and sent to the penitentiary in Laramie.
He was convicted?
Yeah, convicted, I should say. The interesting thing about that is almost every record I've ever said or seen indicates that he was actually guilty of the first one and not guilty of the second one.
Well, that's how justice works.
Exactly, they get you sooner or later. So that's one of my favorite pieces. We've got again so many really wonderful Native American pieces, including some just stunning headdresses. We're looking at one right here of a headdress made out of sage grouse feathers, which I think is really cool because it's so unique and so unusual.
Very special to this area.
Yeah.
The sage grouse,
Yeah.
quite a prominent part of the history and also the natural scene.
Yes, exactly. It's this is, I still think even today, one of the biggest populations of sage grouse in the world still live in Fremont County.
I believe so, and the recent attention given to the sage grouse has focused a lot on our population here, which you can hear booming and strutting around around May.
Mating season it's quite a spectacle. If you're interested in natural history, it's worth coming to see.
One thing I've always really liked about this museum is that it's so particular to this area. Most of what you can see here is stuff you can't find somewhere else. It's not just about history written with a small H. It's about Lander in the Wind River Valley.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of a particular mission that I'm interested in is, you can get Western history a lot of places. But when you come to visit a place, I think it's neat to learn about the place, not just broad themes. Now, certainly we fit into the broad theme of Western history, but so many specific incidents happen here. Again, Butch Cassidy being one. Chief Washakie, who I would argue is the most significant Wyomingite who ever lived.
I believe so.
He lived his whole life here, and we talk a lot about him, and I think that's important because he is an important figure in this area's history, not just a generic Native American chief.
Right. In fact, I think he's one of the 2 Wyomingite statues at the Capitol.
Yes, Esther Hobart Morris is one from South Pass, who was the first woman Justice of the Peace in America, and then Chief Washakie.
Both of them, Fremont County.
Exactly.
And you have deep roots in Fremont County yourself.
My grandmother was born coming to this area in a covered wagon in 1890. So that was the year Wyoming became a state. It wasn't a state yet when they got here. So yeah, my mother's side of the family's been in the Fremont County area for a long time, and my father's side of the family's from northern Wyoming, so they were up there for a long time. So yeah, part of the history myself, I guess.
That's solid roots. So. And you're also really involved with Sinks Canyon, one of our great local attractions.
Yeah, Sinks Canyon State Park. I worked up there for many years as a naturalist and interpreter, and it's got a fantastic visitor center. One of the most unique geologic places you'll ever visit, given the disappearance of the big river into the Madison limestone and the reappearance further downstream. It's a really spectacular place.
Right. This place, Sinks Canyon, is called such because the Pocosia River sinks there at a certain point into a limestone cave.
It's a limestone cave.
And then it's just gone, just undetectable.
It's underground for overland 1/4 of a mile. Underground, though, the water, they've done a number of dye tests over the years, and the dye tests indicate that the water takes 2 hours to travel. So it's not going in a straight line underground. The geologists believe it's a big maze under there.
Just percolating
through lots of different, and going pretty deep too, apparently, because the formation itself is very thick.
Right.
So.
And then rising in a great trout pool.
A big pool filled with some 18-pound trout, very large, unnaturally large. Trout don't normally get that big, but they're fed year-round by visitors. And there's no fishing allowed there, so they have a cushy deal.
Yeah, better than most. Well, thank you very much, Randy.
Oh, Jackson's pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming and seeing us.
Of course, I'm here a lot. And
Good.
I hope you'll also come and check out the Fremont County Pioneer Museum here in
Sinks
Wyoming.
Canyon.
And Sinks Canyon, of course.
And South Pass, and Atlantic City, and all the other cool places.
Just a lot to see. From beautiful Wyoming, I'm wishing you all the best.